Happy New Year. It's 2023, and let's go back to what's going on in the real estate market and where's it going. Now, of course, you got two camps. You got the people that talk about narratives, the usual suspects, real estate associations and realtors, and then you have people that talk indicators, like myself. And what are the indicators telling you? Well, things are not that rosy. So we heard the narratives of not enough inventory, too much equity, too many homeowners with low rates, not enough new construction, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what real estate associations and realtors keep on saying. I'm a realtor, but I like to stand on data and be right versus making up stuff and create FOMO. So, what's going on in indicators? Well, not looking very good. At the end, what matters the most is demand, the type of demand, how well off that demand is, banks, super important, and economic data. And all of them are pointing to the direction of lower prices. And a lot of the people in this market are forgetting that, conveniently, of course. Like I always say, you have to start off with what's most important: banks. And I always say banks buy homes, not people. Now, if you look at banks, what's going on? Well, they're getting a lot more paper losses, and we have to know why. The why is simple. In 2020 and 2021, when interest rates, were down, and they came down to the lowest levels ever, you have a inverse relationship with asset prices. And what happens is bond prices go up and asset values go up, and those banks were doing fantastic. Then in 2022, mid-year, what happened? The Fed flipped over, raised interest rates, and you have that inverse relationship working against you. So asset prices fell. You can see in the stock market, you can see in bond prices, and now those banks are showing a mountain of paper losses. And you can also see it in the reverse repo and over-the-counter operations at the Fed that these banks are doing. They're trying to get money. So they're handing over bonds that are worth less and try to get some cash out of it. So that's not a good idea. It's a good idea for them, but it's a bad idea for the economy, because that means they're having some liquidity issues. And when they have liquidity issues and they have paper losses because they're not officially counting them, that means they have less money, and M2, the supply of money, is falling, so there's less money out there, and that means less lending, and more tough lending, and more expensive lending. So what does that tell you about what banks are going to do? Well, simple. They're not going to be lending. And if they are lending, they're going to be lending at much tougher standards for once, because yes, 2021 they were not lending at very high standards, trust me. And at the same time, they're facing losses, and that's not a good idea. So if banks buy homes and banks don't want to lend, people are not buying. And you can see that simply by looking at the interest rate. The interest rate is going up. Mortgage-backed securities are falling in price. So there's less investors trying to buy those mortgage-backed securities, so that's pushing interest rates higher. While the Fed is still running towards a terminal rate for the Fed fund rate at probably around 5%. That's not going to be pretty. So banks are not going to be lending. So it's going to be tougher for people to buy homes because they can't get the loan for it. And you can see that in mortgage applications. We have hit 20-year lows, 25 years technically. So if you're looking at the current pace of mortgage applications and also the sales pace, you're looking at probably around 4.2 to 4.1 million homes being bought in 2023. In comparison, we sold about 6.17 million homes in 2021. That's a huge drop. So you don't need a whole lot of inventory. You just keep the same inventory, but your demand is down 20%, 25%, and at this point, 40%. That's going to hurt. And then you have to look at demand itself, how qualified it is, how many people are there, do you want a house, how many people can afford a house. So when rates were at 2.75%, 3%, yeah, people could buy a $500,000 home because it was cheap. But now that it's at 6.5%, you just took away about 30 to 40% of people that could actually afford it. It's that simple. So you have higher rates, harder to borrow, and you got mortgage applications falling. So that means less demand. Then look at new construction. Well, they're hurting. We still have about 1.5 million new constructions ongoing right now, and builders are trying to desperately offload thousands of units to hedge funds and pension funds, which are not buying. And why? Because they're just like banks. In 2020 and 2021, they bought a bunch of assets because of cheap money, and now rates went up, and these assets, because of the inverse relationship between interest rates and prices, are worth a lot less. So they have paper losses. There you go. So now they don't have money, so they can't buy. So what's going to go on with builders? Well, they're going to have to dump, and the only way to dump is to lower prices more and more and more, and it's not getting any prettier because those pension funds and hedge funds are not buying. Those big corporate buyers are gone, while at the same time you have a 25% cancellation rate. So that's a lot of homes staying on the market. In fact, it's at 8.9 months of supply, which is basically 2008 levels. So home builders, yeah, not enough homes. How about too many homes? So if you look at those indicators, what does that tell you? Demand is down, banks are not going to be lending, there's too much construction. There's only one thing that can happen, that means lower prices. And everything is in the hands of the Fed. So keep watching the Fed, keep watching those overnight repo operations, over-the-counter operations, look at banks, look at builders, how many homes they still have in the pipeline. Look how the sales are, look at the cancellations, and you will see those indicators telling you what's going to be happening to home prices. So hold on to your hats. It's going to be a bumpy ride in the real estate market in 2023.